The morning news cycle explodes with a jaw-dropping revelation. Breaking, AOC under investigation for financial crimes. Newspapers, TV pundits, and social media are ablaze with speculation. Some can't believe it. Others, they saw this coming a mile away. Fox News runs the headline "Justice is coming," while MSNBC calls it a right-wing witch hunt. Twitter is in absolute chaos. The hashtag AOC indicted starts trending, and memes flood the internet. At the center of it all, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the young firebrand congresswoman who rose to political stardom as a champion of progressivism, is now at the heart of a growing scandal. And leading the charge against her? None other than Bondi, former Florida Attorney General and a relentless legal force. Bondi steps up to the podium at a press conference. Cameras flash. Reporters shout over each other. And then she drops the bombshell. The evidence speaks for itself. No one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. The gloves are off. The fight has begun. As Bondi's words echo through the press room, the weight of the allegations begins to sink in. The investigation, it turns out, has been quietly in the works for months. Federal prosecutors, financial analysts, and a team of forensic accountants have been combing through AOC's campaign funds, tax filings, and suspicious money trails. The accusations? Misuse of campaign funds, undisclosed donations, and financial improprieties linked to PACs supporting her agenda. Conservative commentators are calling it the scandal of the decade. Tucker Carlson smirks on air. Well, looks like tax the rich was just a slogan after all. On the other side, AOC supporters cry foul. They claim this is a politically motivated hit job designed to silence one of the most vocal progressives in the country. They're trying to take her down because they fear her, one left-wing journalist tweets. But as more evidence starts leaking, bank transfers, anonymous testimonies, and wiretapped phone calls, it becomes harder to dismiss the charges as mere political theater. Then comes the biggest twist yet. A former AOC staffer flips and agrees to testify. The political storm is only beginning. Just when AOC's team scrambles to control the narrative, a bombshell drops. One of her former top aides has flipped and is ready to testify. The media is in a frenzy. Speculation runs wild. Who is it? What do they know? Then the name leaks. Jonathan Reyes, AOC's former finance director, steps forward with damning evidence. In an exclusive interview, Reyes reveals shocking details: misreported campaign donations, shady real estate deals, and direct messages where AOC allegedly instructs staff to move funds around in a way that raises serious legal questions. "I believed in her mission," Reyes tells a stunned news anchor. "But I couldn't look the other way anymore." AOC's team immediately fires back. He's lying. This is a right-wing smear campaign. But Reyes isn't alone. Another former aide, a woman only identified as Samantha P., is reportedly negotiating an immunity deal in exchange for more inside information. Bondi, seeing her case get stronger, takes to the podium again. The American people deserve transparency. No one is above the law. Meanwhile, AOC herself goes completely silent. Her usual fiery tweets? Gone. No interviews, no statements, just silence. The pressure is mounting, and the question on everyone's mind: will she fight or fold? As the evidence piles up, Bondi makes her next move, issuing a formal subpoena for AOC to testify under oath. The news explodes across every major network. Headlines flash. Red circle breaking, AOC subpoenaed. Will she testify? Blue circle, Bondi tightens the noose. OC cornered. For days, AOC avoids the press, dodging questions as reporters swarm her outside her office. Then, finally, she breaks her silence with a defiant social media post. This is a witch hunt, plain and simple. They're trying to silence progressive voices, but I won't back down. Her supporters rally behind her, crying foul. But others aren't so sure. Even some on the left start to ask, if she has nothing to hide, why won't she testify? Behind the scenes, her legal team scrambles. If she ignores the subpoena, she risks contempt charges. If she testifies, she might expose more than she intends. And Bondi? She's not backing down. At a press conference, Bondi looks directly into the camera and says, "No more games. No more excuses. The American people deserve the truth. If Representative Ocasio-Cortez refuses to testify, we will take the next legal step. Now all eyes are on AOC. Will she walk into that courtroom, or will she find a way out? As the deadline to testify looms, AOC's legal team is in full panic mode. Behind closed doors, her lawyers debate strategies. One attorney, pacing the room, throws out a desperate idea. Speaking head, we could file a motion to quash the subpoena, claim it's politically motivated. But another lawyer shakes their head. That won't hold up. The evidence Bondi has is too strong. Meanwhile, AOC grows more anxious. She knows that walking into that courtroom means one thing. Fire every financial transaction, every deal, and every shady donation will be exposed. She paces in her office, scrolling through social media, watching the public turn against her. One viral post reads, "Small blue diamond, if AOC has nothing to hide, why is she fighting so hard to avoid court?" Another, "Small blue diamond, remember when she said, 'No one is above the law?' Guess that doesn't apply to her." Even her own allies start distancing themselves. Prominent progressive leaders refuse to comment, while others issue vague statements like, "Speech balloon, we believe in due process and will let the facts speak for themselves." AOC's team realizes they're losing control of the narrative. They need a way to flip the script. Fast. Then, her lead attorney suggests the unthinkable. "Speaking head, what if you play the victim?" Silence fills the room. AOC slowly looks up, considering the idea. Could she turn this into an attack on her instead? That's when she makes her decision. She's going to take this to the media and paint herself as the real target. The very next morning, AOC goes on the offensive. Television, she books an emergency interview with a major news network. Sitting across from the host, she puts on her best serious face. "Speaking head, this is nothing more than a right-wing smear campaign," she declares. "They're scared of my influence, so they're trying to silence me." She paints herself as a victim, claiming, "Small blue diamond, this isn't about justice, it's about political revenge. Small blue diamond, they're using the courts to target progressive voices like mine. Small blue diamond, if they can come after me, they can come after anyone." She expects sympathy. She expects outrage. She expects her base to rally behind her. But instead, social media erupts with skepticism. Collision people aren't buying it. One post goes viral. "Small blue diamond, funny how she loved the justice system until it turned against her." Another, "Small blue diamond, if this was a Republican under investigation, she'd be cheering for them to be held accountable." Even liberal commentators hesitate to defend her. One political analyst says on air, "Speech balloon, if she's truly innocent, why not let the facts come out in court?" Meanwhile, Bondi isn't fazed at all. She claps back immediately. Standing in front of reporters, she delivers a short but devastating statement. "Speaking head, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to clear her name, she'll have every opportunity to do so in court. But playing the victim won't change the evidence against her." That's when AOC realizes her media stunt just made things worse. Chart decreasing public trust is crumbling. Moneybag donors start pulling back. Eyes in the courtroom showdown is now inevitable. Just when AOC thought things couldn't get any worse, a bombshell report drops. Newspaper, a major investigative journalist releases leaked documents related to the case. And what's inside? More evidence that AOC's financial dealings were shady. Small blue diamond, mysterious wire transfers that don't add up. Small blue diamond, undisclosed campaign expenses tied to luxury accommodations. Small blue diamond, a suspicious nonprofit that funneled money in and out of her accounts. The report even includes testimony from former staffers. One anonymous source spills the truth. "Speech balloon, we were told to keep quiet about certain transactions. If we asked questions, we were shut down immediately." Collision, the internet explodes. "Small blue diamond, she's been lying to us this whole time." "Small blue diamond, this is worse than we thought." "Small blue diamond, how deep does this corruption go?" And the worst part? Even some of her biggest supporters start distancing themselves. A well-known progressive commentator tweets, "Speech balloon, I've always backed AOC, but this is bad. Now, it's no longer just a legal battle. It's a political nightmare." Chart decreasing, her approval ratings take a massive hit. Loudspeaker, even her allies go silent. Moneybag fundraising efforts stall. And in the middle of it all, Bondi is watching closely, waiting for the perfect moment to deliver the final blow. With her back against the wall, OC finally breaks her silence. Television, she schedules an emergency press conference. Cameras flash as she steps up to the podium, visibly tense. Speech balloon, this is a political witch hunt. They are targeting me because I stand for working-class Americans. Fire, she blames conservative media. She blames billionaires. She blames the system. But here's the problem. She never denies the actual accusations. Collision and the public notices. Within minutes, social media erupts. Small Blue Diamond, did you hear that? She didn't even say she was innocent. Small Blue Diamond, she's dodging the real questions. Small Blue Diamond, this is not a good look. And then, the worst possible thing happens. Police car light AOC tries to turn the tables by accusing Pam Bondi of corruption. Speech balloon, Pam Bondi is just another Republican hack trying to silence progressives. But guess what? Bondi is ready. Loudspeaker, she immediately fires back with a fiery statement. Speech balloon, this isn't about politics. This is about the law. If AOC is innocent, why is she panicking? The media starts fact-checking AOC's claims. Small Blue Diamond, Bondi's record is clean. Small Blue Diamond, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing on her end. Small Blue Diamond, it's clear that AOC is deflecting. Collision, her plan to play the victim backfires. Badly. Chart decreasing, her approval ratings tank even further. Loudspeaker calls for her resignation grow louder. Moneybag, even her donors start pulling support. And just when she thinks it can't get worse. Police car light, the legal system makes its next move. As AOC continues her media blitz, things are quickly spiraling out of her control. She's on the defensive, trying to shift the narrative, but the legal system is about to make its next move. Scroll, the subpoenas are officially served. Police car light, the charges against her are growing as investigators uncover more evidence tied to misappropriated funds, including allegations of improper dealings with non-profit organizations that were supposed to be used for local community projects. Small Blue Diamond documents surface that suggest she personally signed off on several transactions that were suspiciously funneled into various political allies' pockets. Small Blue Diamond, the investigative team, led by Pam Bondi's legal team, digs into AOC's finances with ruthless precision. There's no stone left unturned. Collision, the pressure mounts as AOC's defense team scrambles to explain these financial discrepancies. Speech balloon, these are all baseless claims. This is a witch hunt, AOC shouts during her next live appearance. But it's no longer about what she says, it's about what the evidence shows. The media is already starting to pick up on the damning details. The public can no longer ignore the growing cloud of doubt. Speech balloon, what's she hiding? Why isn't she just telling the truth? Small Blue Diamond social media erupts with calls for accountability. Small Blue Diamond political commentators tear apart her latest defense statements. Small Blue Diamond AOC's once solid support base is splintering. As her legal troubles continue to escalate, Pam Bondi's team files an official motion to move forward with the case. They're not backing down, and the pressure on AOC is becoming too much to handle. And just when things seem like they can't get any worse for her. Police car light, a major player, enters the game. As the legal pressure continues to mount on AOC, Pam Bondi and her team drop a bombshell, an undeniable piece of evidence that could potentially end AOC's political career forever. Bondi's team presents a recorded phone call between AOC and an unknown third party, a political donor who had secretly been funneling money to AOC's campaign in exchange for favors. The conversation, obtained through legally sanctioned wiretaps, contains incriminating details about the arrangement. In the recording, AOC is heard discussing how to use her influence in Congress to push through legislation that would benefit the donor's personal businesses in exchange for generous donations. This is the smoking gun. This is the moment everything changes, says Bondi as she watches the courtroom erupt in shock. The courtroom buzzes with disbelief. AOC's supporters are stunned, and even her most vocal critics are taken aback by the sheer audacity of her actions. Fire public reaction is explosive. Social media explodes as the news spreads like wildfire. News outlets run with headlines like AOC's corruption exposed. The proof is in the phone call. The hashtag AOC exposed begins trending globally, dominating online discussions. AOC's defense team is left scrambling. They try to discredit the recording, claiming that the conversation was doctored or that she was misunderstood. But it's too late, the damage has already been done. Speech balloon, she can't spin her way out of this one, says one of Bondi's allies as they watch the chaos unfold. The pressure builds as the legal battle takes a dramatic turn. Police Carlite AOC supporters begin to distance themselves, even some of her closest allies in Congress. The cracks in her previously unshakable base are now too wide to ignore. Chart decreasing, her approval ratings plummet, and the media continues to hold her to the fire. Small blue diamond as the court date looms, AOC's legal team is faced with a brutal reality. They're running out of options. The evidence is stacking up, and Pam Bondi's team is on the attack. It seems like AOC's days in the political spotlight may be coming to a rapid and humiliating end. Speech balloon, she can't run from this. Not anymore. With the evidence now out in the open, AOC's legal team scrambles to salvage her reputation, knowing that her political career is hanging by a thread. However, instead of acknowledging the incriminating evidence, they opt for a risky counterattack, blaming the legal system itself. Collision AOC strategy. In a stunning move, AOC goes public with an emotional speech, claiming that the entire investigation is a political witch hunt orchestrated by Pam Bondi and her allies to discredit her. Speech balloon, this is a direct attack on me, my values, and the progressive movement I've spent my life fighting for. They want to silence my voice, and they want to silence every one of you who stands with me. Her emotional appeal rallies a wave of loyal supporters who genuinely believe that she's been unfairly targeted by the political elite. The progressive media begins to amplify her message, further polarizing public opinion. Movie camera, the media response. News outlets, once filled with shocking reports of the phone call and the evidence, now air interviews with AOC's most vocal allies, claiming that the accusations against her are politically motivated and groundless. Speech balloon, this is a smear campaign, says one commentator on a popular progressive news channel. They're just trying to take down the first progressive voice who dared challenge the establishment. Red triangle pointed up, public opinion starts to shift. Some of her more ardent followers begin to rally behind the idea of a conspiracy, buying into the notion that the system is stacked against AOC and that the evidence may have been tampered with or fabricated. Lightbulb, the counterattack gains traction. AOC's social media following begins posting support using hashtags like #JusticeForAOC and #WitchHuntUncovered. The narrative of a victimized politician quickly spreads through liberal circles. Even some Democratic leaders who had distanced themselves from AOC earlier start to reconsider their position as the media storm intensifies. Mobile phone, the battle for the public narrative has begun. Collision, Pam Bondi and her team are stunned. They knew this could happen, but the speed at which AOC has shifted public sentiment takes them by surprise. Bondi's team huddles to reassess their strategy, knowing they can't afford to lose the momentum they've gained in the courts and in the media. Faced with Monocle, a new investigation? As AOC's claims of a witch hunt grow louder, the media digs deeper into the original investigation into her. A few old allies of AOC start to question the integrity of the legal process and whether certain members of the opposition might have exploited her situation for political gain. Speech balloon, this may not be as clear-cut as we thought, says one high-ranking legal advisor to Bondi. AOC's gambit is working. The question now becomes whether the truth or the public narrative will determine her fate. As AOC's accusations of a political witch hunt start to gain traction, Pam Bondi refuses to let the narrative shift. Her resolve strengthens, and she becomes even more determined to see the investigation through to the end. She is clear in her purpose, to hold AOC accountable and ensure the truth is exposed, no matter how hard it is to fight. Bondi, who is not one to back down easily, begins to take a more aggressive stance. Her team releases a series of documents that further tie AOC to questionable financial dealings, including more detailed records of the suspicious donations and discrepancies in her campaign finances. Bondi's efforts to publicly discredit AOC's defense are aimed at solidifying the case against her. Speech balloon, the facts are undeniable, says Bondi in a televised interview. AOC is lying to the public to save her career. The evidence we have is irrefutable, and I will not stop until she faces the consequences of her actions. As the court hearings continue, the stakes grow higher. AOC's legal team now faces multiple challenges in defending her against the ever-mounting evidence. Meanwhile, Bondi's team has solidified their position with a detailed timeline of the alleged illegal activities, which seems to point to AOC's direct involvement in the questionable transactions. The case catches fire in the media once again, but now the focus shifts to whether AOC will be indicted. The progressive world begins to question the fairness of the process, as Bondi and her team present damning evidence. The debate becomes increasingly divisive, with some news outlets claiming that Bondi is overreaching while others assert that AOC must be held accountable. On social media, both sides are engaging in a heated war of words. AOC supporters continue to insist that the investigation is a smear campaign, while Bondi's allies double down on their belief that justice must prevail. Protests begin to form outside the courthouse, with both camps expressing their views. The intensity of the situation makes it clear that the final verdict will have significant political consequences for everyone involved. The final stages of the trial are near, and the atmosphere in the courthouse becomes more tense with each passing day. As both sides present their final arguments, everyone knows this will be the moment that will either clear AOC's name or condemn her. The pressure on both the judge and the jury is immense as they prepare to deliberate on the future of one of the most high-profile political figures in America. As the courtroom drama nears its end, AOC's defense team tries one last tactic, calling on a series of character witnesses to attest to AOC's moral standing. They argue that despite the financial allegations, AOC has always fought for justice and the rights of the American people. This move causes the courtroom to erupt in both support and disbelief. Speech balloon, she is a hero for the people, says one of her witnesses, a prominent progressive activist. This is an attack on the movement, not just her. But will it be enough? Bondi's team is ready to tear down these claims and expose the reality behind AOC's public persona. The moment of truth has arrived. The courtroom grows silent as the jury files into the room, their faces solemn. The weight of the decision that lies ahead is clear. AOC's political future hangs in the balance, and the nation is watching. The closing arguments have been made, and now it's up to the jury to decide whether she will face criminal charges or walk free. For Bondi, this is the culmination of years of effort, fighting tooth and nail to bring the truth to light. Every piece of evidence, every witness testimony, and every legal strategy has led up to this moment. Her reputation as a fighter for justice is on the line. If AOC is acquitted, it could feel like a personal loss, a blow to everything she's worked for in her career. On the flip side, AOC's defense team remains confident. They argue that the charges are politically motivated, aimed at undermining her success as a voice of change in a corrupt system. The entire progressive movement is watching, hoping the jury will side with their champion. Speech balloon, this is about much more than just one case, says AOC's attorney during closing arguments. This is an attack on democracy, on the very principles our country was built on. We stand firm in our belief that justice will prevail. As the jury begins its deliberations, the world outside the courtroom holds its breath. Social media explodes with heated arguments from both sides. Progressive supporters of AOC launch petitions demanding her acquittal, while conservative voices rally behind Bondi, urging the jury to uphold the law and punish corruption wherever it may lie. People from all walks of life begin to voice their opinions, not just about AOC, but about the entire system of justice and accountability. Everyone knows that this case is about more than just the individuals involved. It's a fight over what kind of political future America will have. The deliberation process drags on for days, and tensions continue to build. Each juror feels the weight of the decision that could change the political landscape forever. Will they be swayed by AOC's emotional testimony? Will the evidence presented by Bondi's team be enough to convince them of the severity of the alleged crimes? As the days pass, whispers of outside influence begin to spread. People question whether the jury can remain impartial or whether political pressure is affecting their judgment. While the jury deliberates, there are reports of new developments in the case. Bondi's team uncovers new evidence that could be a game changer, additional financial documents linking AOC to suspicious offshore accounts and entities. This discovery sets the stage for the next stage of the battle, a legal push to reopen the investigation if the jury returns a verdict of not guilty. Speech balloon, this is far from over, Bondi warns the public. If the jury fails to hold her accountable, we will fight for justice in any way possible. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the jury files back into the courtroom. The tension is palpable. Every eye is on the foreperson, who will announce the verdict. The room is silent as the judge calls for the decision. When the verdict is read, the courtroom is thrown into chaos. Some gasp in disbelief, while others cheer. The jury's decision is a divisive one, and the reactions are swift. Did AOC get away with it? Or was justice truly served? Speech balloon, the verdict does not mean the fight is over, says Bondi in a calm but resolute voice. This is only one chapter in a much bigger story. The battle for justice continues. The nation waits with bated breath as the full consequences of the verdict begin to unfold. What will happen next for AOC and for the future of American politics? The ultimate decision is only the beginning. The verdict has been read, and the reactions from all sides are as intense as expected. Social media is flooded with outrage and celebration, depending on which side of the political spectrum you stand. The country is divided. Progressives feel that justice has been denied, while conservatives are either celebrating or preparing for the next fight. In the aftermath of the verdict, the news outlets are in a frenzy, providing wall-to-wall coverage of the political aftermath. AOC supporters launch protests, claiming that the case was a political attack and a witch hunt. On the other hand, conservative pundits argue that the system has failed, and AOC has once again escaped accountability due to her political influence. The narrative is split, with both sides accusing the other of using the justice system for their own political gain. The media is filled with polarizing headlines that only fuel the fire. No one can agree on what truly happened, but one thing is clear: this case is far from over. Speech balloon: this case is not about AOC. It's about ensuring that politicians, regardless of party, are held accountable for their actions, says a vocal conservative political commentator during an interview. We cannot allow corruption to thrive in our government. Despite the verdict, Bondi is not ready to let this go. She immediately signals her intentions to continue the fight, appealing the case on various legal grounds. She believes that there were significant flaws in the legal proceedings that allowed AOC to escape accountability. Bondi's team starts gathering additional evidence, investigating any potential misconduct during the trial. Legal scholars begin to weigh in on the complexity of the case and the loopholes in the law that could potentially allow for an appeal or even a retrial. Speech balloon: the battle is not over, and we are committed to ensuring that this case is re-examined, Bondi states, vowing to take the matter to the highest courts. The political consequences of this case become increasingly clear. As the 2024 presidential election draws nearer, AOC's involvement in this controversy becomes a major talking point. Opponents argue that if she is not held accountable, it will undermine the integrity of the upcoming elections. Speech balloon: if we allow her to slip through the cracks now, what message does that send about our ability to protect the very fabric of democracy? Asked the leading conservative politician. We cannot let a figure like AOC lead our nation while skirting responsibility for serious allegations. AOC, on the other hand, tries to maintain her composure, using her platform to continue advocating for progressive causes. However, the shadow of this legal battle looms large over her future. Polls show a sharp divide in public opinion. While some remain fiercely loyal to her, others are beginning to question her integrity. Despite the outcome of the case, AOC's leadership role within the Democratic Party remains intact, but criticism of her actions intensifies. Her political opponents use this case to paint her as part of a corrupt system that will stop at nothing to hold on to power. The truth will always come out, says AOC defiantly. This is just a temporary setback. I will continue to fight for what's right. The public's reaction to the verdict sparks widespread protests across the country. From New York to California, activists take to the streets demanding justice, while counter-protests pop up in defense of AOC. The country finds itself on edge as both sides seem unwilling to compromise. Local governments begin to brace for more unrest, as tensions over the case lead to growing distrust in the judicial system. Calls for reform grow louder, with many arguing that the system is broken and cannot be trusted to deliver justice impartially. Politicians on both sides of the aisle are pressured to take a stand. Some Republicans call for immediate investigations into AOC's financial dealings and her connections to controversial figures. Meanwhile, Democratic leaders rally behind her, denouncing the case as politically motivated and calling for unity in the face of division. As political tensions rise, lawmakers in Washington start to feel the heat. The case becomes a critical point of contention in the run-up to the next election, with both parties trying to use the situation to their advantage. Just as things seem to settle, new evidence surfaces, potentially changing the entire trajectory of the case. New financial documents emerge linking AOC to even more questionable financial transactions, and the calls for reopening the investigation grow louder. Bondi's team immediately seizes the opportunity, demanding that the case be re-examined by a higher court. They believe that this new evidence is crucial in proving AOC's guilt. Speech balloon: we now have the smoking gun, Bondi declares. It's time to hold AOC accountable, and we won't stop until we get the truth. As the investigation continues to unfold, the nation watches with bated breath. What will happen next for AOC? Will she be forced to face the consequences of her actions, or will she continue to evade justice? Will the American public finally get the clarity they deserve? One thing is for certain, the fight for justice is far from over. As the stakes get higher, the nation waits for the next chapter in this political drama. The future of American democracy and the integrity of the justice system hang in the balance. As new evidence begins to surface, the legal battle becomes more intense. AOC's legal team prepares to fight back with full force, mounting a series of counterarguments that suggest the new evidence is inadmissible and tainted by political bias. They argue that it was introduced by those with a clear agenda to bring her down. At the same time, Bondi's team does not back down. They press forward, using the new documents and testimony as their primary weapon. The battle in the courts becomes more complex, with the stakes higher than ever before. Every new filing and motion is met with intense media scrutiny and fierce public debate. Speech balloon, this case is far from over, Bondi states, her voice filled with determination. AOC supporters may want to believe this is a political hit, but the truth is undeniable. We have proof that she has been involved in shady dealings that cannot be ignored. The court of public opinion becomes just as important as the legal battle itself, with both sides using every tool at their disposal to sway the narrative. Legal experts speculate that this case could end up going all the way to the Supreme Court, turning it into a landmark case with far-reaching consequences. As the legal team on both sides gears up for what promises to be a long, drawn-out battle, public opinion continues to be polarized. On one side, AOC supporters double down, claiming that the case is yet another example of right-wing overreach designed to discredit her and her progressive agenda. They argue that the new evidence is fabricated or misinterpreted, and that it is all part of a larger political witch hunt. On the other hand, conservative groups push for immediate accountability, pointing to the mounting evidence of corruption and demanding that AOC be held accountable for her actions. The backlash against her is intense, with many calling for her resignation from public office. Social media platforms explode with posts, memes, and viral videos, with each side fiercely defending their position. The public is shocked by the severity of the allegations, but it's hard to get a clear read on where the majority stands. The media's role becomes more pivotal than ever. Mainstream outlets flood the airwaves with breaking news about the latest developments. Some claim the case will have major constitutional implications, while others report on the emotional toll it's taking on AOC's personal life. However, with such a high-profile case, misinformation spreads just as quickly as the truth. Conspiracy theories begin to circulate, with people claiming that AOC's enemies are using false evidence to bring her down, and that the entire case is part of a larger plot to undermine the progressive movement. Media outlets are bombarded with accusations of bias from both sides, making it difficult for the average citizen to determine what the truth really is. In response to the growing storm, AOC begins to reframe the narrative, using the crisis as a way to galvanize her supporters. She addresses the public through social media, calling the case an unprecedented attack on democracy and declaring that her opponents are trying to destroy the progressive agenda by targeting her specifically. Her speech is filled with passionate appeals to her followers, urging them to stand with her in the fight against corruption and political manipulation. She paints herself as the victim of a powerful elite trying to suppress the voice of the people. Speech balloon, they want to silence us because we fight for justice, for equality, and for the future of this country, AOC declares in an emotional address. But we will not be intimidated. We will stand strong, and we will win. Her supporters rally behind her, launching online campaigns and organizing protests to defend her integrity. For many, this is not just about AOC. It's about the future of progressive politics and the fight against powerful political forces that they believe have run unchecked for far too long. As the case drags on, questions about the fairness of the justice system begin to arise. Legal analysts wonder aloud if AOC's political status is compromising the integrity of the trial. Could it be that the system is unable to provide a fair trial when the accused holds such a prominent position in government? Some argue that AOC's influence may make it impossible to find a jury that could be truly impartial, while others believe the opposite, that she's being unfairly targeted because of her rise to prominence. Public opinion begins to question whether the justice system is truly unbiased or if it is vulnerable to political manipulation. The case shines a spotlight on the flaws of the system, sparking debates about reform and the need to hold everyone, regardless of their political position, accountable. The case is now headed to the highest courts in the land. With the Supreme Court taking up the case, the nation holds its breath. What will happen to AOC? Will the allegations against her stand up in court, or will she find a way to escape accountability once again? As the country braces for the final showdown, the stakes have never been higher. This case is no longer just about AOC. It's about the future of democracy and the integrity of the justice system.